Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May. Welcome to Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a business and life that they truly love. My name is Erica. I'm your host. I'm a lash artist turned beauty business coach, lash educator, and social media manager for salons and beauty businesses. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of Lash Biz Babes. My name is Erica. I'm your host, and this week we are going to be talking about some different tips for using TikTok to build your local beauty clientele. So whether you're a lash artist, hairstylist, esthetician, spray tan artist, nail tech, it really doesn't matter what services you offer. These tips are really going to be able to help you grow on TikTok. Now, I'm not going to lie, I have kind of avoided, maybe not purposely avoided, but I haven't done really my own episode on this topic because I haven't really felt like I'm qualified to speak on it or to give you tips and tricks on growing on TikTok because I didn't ever really use it very much to grow my lash clientele. And so it was kind of like, well, I haven't done it myself, so I'm not going to share on that, right? I'll just bring other people who have been super successful with that onto the show and ask them and, interview them about it and get some insight on that from them. But with being a social media management agency now, we have run a handful of different TikTok accounts for our clients, including those who are reaching their local area and building their beauty clienteles and on TikTok. So I feel like I have better insights into what works and what doesn't work, and I can give you a few of the tips and tricks that have been helping us be able to grow our clients' accounts really well. Now, before we get into this, I want to point out that even with TikTok, with building your local beauty clientele, the point is to not go, well, I shouldn't say the point is to not go viral. There's no issue with going viral on TikTok. However, that should not be the only goal you have with TikTok is to go viral. If your goal is to build your local beauty clientele, it's the same thing that we've talked about before. You have to make sure your goals are in alignment with your strategy, okay? So if you're wanting to get clients from TikTok, you don't necessarily need to focus on going viral, but you do need to focus on getting seen in your local area and getting those local followers and getting that local visibility on the platform, especially because it is increasingly being used more and more like Google, where people are searching on TikTok like they would on Google to find people in their area or to find answers to questions, tutorials, get more educated on topics, things like that. So I do want to point that out because like with our clients' accounts, like obviously we want them to get good views and good engagement and all those things, but don't overlook the fact that some of your best converting posts might get less engagement, less views, less likes, less comments. And that's okay because it's still going to move the needle for your business, help you book a client, help you make money. Because I think I've maybe said this on here before, maybe I've said it in a class before, but would you rather be the lash artist or the hairstylist or the esthetician who gets low likes but books clients from it, or low views or has lower followers than others? but you make money off of it and you book clients from it? Or would you rather be getting viral posts and tons of followers, but making no money off of that and it doesn't book you any clients? And I'm not saying the two are mutually exclusive. You can go viral and have a lot of followers and make money and book clients from it. But I just want you to keep in mind from the start, what is your goal and is your strategy aligned with that? And make sure you have your eye set on the right metrics, because the views, the followers, the likes, all of that are vanity metrics when you're a local beauty business owner who wants to get local clients booking with you. Now, if you are like getting into the creator fund or an influencer or things like that, obviously your follower count, your likes, your comments, your views are going to play a part and matter with how much money you make. But since you are not that type of business, that is not your goal. It should not be your only focus. Okay. And I just want to point that out, but too, especially because there's a lot of Instagram gurus and TikTok gurus and just social media gurus in general who are giving advice for growing your accounts and growing your business online, but their advice isn't necessarily catered to local businesses like yours. Okay. And it's not necessarily going to be the best advice for you growing your business type online. So I think that's a really, really important to have that discernment with, because not every single tip or trick that you see online is going to be applicable to you and your business. So you have to keep in mind what your end goals are, what's actually going to make you money, what's going to move the needle for your business, and align your strategy accordingly. Okay. Now, that all being said, I'm going to give you some different TikTok tips and tricks that have really worked well for our clients to get them views, likes, engagement, clients booking, clicks through to their websites, things like that. So, the first thing with TikTok is that using a broader location seems to help a little bit more. So, with Instagram and so, all right, I'll get to that in a second. I'm like getting ahead of myself in my brain here. But with Instagram, I typically recommend, and for our clients, we'll use a more specific location, right? Because if someone's, say, searching for a lash artist in St. George, Utah, like where I used to lash out of, right? They're not necessarily going to search for Utah lash extensions or Utah lash artists on Instagram because it's too broad of a search term. They're going to find lash artists all over the state versus the specific local area where they want to be serviced out of, right? Because if they find a lash artist who's 5 hours away from them, they're obviously still not going to be able to go to them. So they're niching down their search even more. So on TikTok, I still think it's beneficial to use those more niche down locations, especially like to your local area, so that you can reach exactly the people around you. But I do find that adding some hashtags in there or some keywords into your captions or onto your video somewhere, a more broad location of like your state, that can help the algorithm kind of categorize your location a little bit better and the audience that you're trying to reach a little bit better. Like it'll show it to people in your state around you. So you can still use, like, say, I don't know, let's use Salt Lake City, for example, right? You can still use like Salt Lake City lash extensions, Salt Lake City lash artist in your keywords for your captions and in your hashtags for your captions. You can still put like Salt Lake City lashes on the video, or, located in Salt Lake, whatever. But for some videos, you can kind of just mix it all together into the strategy. You don't have to do it the exact same every time. I'm just saying, I find that when we kind of like bring the magnifying glass out just a little bit more for our clients' TikTok videos, that it does seem to reach more local people in the sense of like it's, the same state type of thing. So I do try and I mix in both. I still use those really local keywords and hashtags and like locations, but I also will mix in. So we have a hair salon and hair extension line that we do who's based in Utah. So they're in the Salt Lake City area. So we'll do some posts with like Salt Lake City and stuff, but then we'll also do like Utah blonde or like hair we did in Utah this month or hair we did in Utah this week or something like that. So that it's still kind of niching down to a more local audience, but it's a little bit more broad than you might do on other platforms. So I feel like the algorithm there just kind of does a little bit better with that. And when we are talking about the TikTok algorithm, I think it's important to point out that this algorithm is so good for visibility, like so chef's kiss good at visibility. So it really gets you seen by other people, by new audiences. So whether you're trying to get lash clients or beauty clients, hair clients, esthetician clients, or you're trying to grow your education business, your product line, I really do think it's a great platform to be on because it is so much better at getting you in front of new people. And I feel like the algorithm is much better than Instagram's algorithm at getting you in front of the people, your target audience, the people who you want to be seeing your content. So it can easily get you in front of local people. It can easily get you in front of lash artists or hairstylists or estheticians or nail techs or whoever you're trying to reach. So I do think the algorithm is amazing over there for the audience growth piece of things. And Instagram, I feel like, is a better platform for like nurturing that visibility in that audience and like conversions. I see less conversions on TikTok than I do on Instagram for some of our clients and for my own business as well. But TikTok is really good for that visibility. And then if you can kind of get those people onto an email list or onto your Instagram page, then that kind of gives you an opportunity to continue to nurture that relationship. And that's not to say you can't make sales or book clients off of TikTok. I'm just saying that I feel like the really big strength from using TikTok for you is to get that local visibility or to get that visibility with your target audience because their algorithm is so damn good at that. So if you aren't already on TikTok, an easy way to start doing that is just take the reels that you're already making for Instagram and post them over on TikTok as well. There's different content types that do better on each platform, but that's just an easy place to start is just to repurpose the content that you're already creating or repurpose the content you're already creating for TikTok and post it on Instagram and vice versa. Like you don't have to overthink it or feel like you have to make completely different set of content for it. Make it simple for yourself, but try and utilize both if you can. And you can use a scheduler like Metricool. That's the one that we use. And I'll put the info for that in the show notes for you so that you can get the link to it and check out what it's all about. But with a scheduling platform like that, you can literally take the same video and schedule it to go up on Instagram and TikTok at the same time. So you're not having to go even post on separate platforms at all. You can schedule it all to go up at once. There's easy ways to make this simple for yourself to show up in both platforms with less time and less effort. It's just a matter of having that system in place to schedule things out. So that was kind of a tangent. I wasn't planning on talking about that, but I think that's, some important things to point out and talk about too. The next thing I wanted to say was to put keywords in your captions. So if you don't know what keywords are, you can Google it or even TikTok it. I'm sure there's TikToks about it as well to kind of get a better understanding because I'm not going to go super in depth on here. I'd talk about these for an hour or more. But with keywords, when you're a local business who's trying to attract local potential clients, you have to think about what are people typing into the search bar to find a business like yours in your area. And I think that's kind of where a lot of lash artists and beauty professionals get tripped up is they'll put hashtags like hashtag lash extensions, hashtag brow lamination, but they're not putting the locations with it. But you have to think about the fact that the hashtag classic lashes on Instagram or TikTok have probably millions of posts underneath of it. And a person looking for you in your area, a local potential client who's close to you, is not going to find you under that hashtag. Okay. Your local clients are not going to find you under those. There's way too many posts. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. You have to niche it down a little bit more than that when you're using location specific keywords. So you've got to use your location and the service name in terms of what your potential clients are calling it. So I'll give you an example of this. With the lash industry, we use our industry lingo and our slang terms all the time where we call it just lashes or volume lashes, mega, whatever, Russians, all of that. But your potential clients are probably not calling it that. And I realized this when I was looking at my analytics on Google Business Profile like 6+ years ago. And I was looking at it and realizing that while I call it lashes or lash extensions, the number one search term that I was getting found under that people were actually searching was eyelash extensions, the full name of the service, the full formal name of the service, right? So looking at these analytics, which by the way, if you don't look at your insights and analytics, you can learn a lot from that if you're paying attention to them. But back to the point, with looking at those analytics, that taught me what people were actually searching for. And like, okay, potential clients aren't calling it lashes. Some of them do, sure. But the vast majority of the general public is calling them eyelash extensions because that's what they are to them. So think about it, the service names in terms of what your potential clients are calling them. and your location. And those should always both be in the caption or in the hashtags or both, because that's going to help you get found in searches more by local potential clients. Now, like I said, I could talk forever on this, but use those keywords in your caption. Make sure you're always putting your location in your caption and the service name in the caption. And that's whether you're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Google Business Profile. I don't care where you're posting, keywords are king. You definitely, or queen. We're all queens around here, right? Keywords are queen. It's definitely going to help you get found by local people in searches. So make sure that you're utilizing those, that you understand those. And the next thing is to have words on the screen from the get-go. I've realized this with one of our TikTok accounts that we run, is that the videos where I don't put like words on the screen from the very second the video starts, they perform not as well as the ones where I do put words on the screen. So even if it's just like a before and after video, right? The transformation of the lashes or the hair or whatever service it is, if I even just put like POV, you finally got your hair done again. POV, you booked that lash appointment that you were thinking about, you were on the fence about. Just something like very broad, general, not cheesy, but just like relevant, relatable like that. Those do so much better than if I were to just post that before and after video on its own without words on the screen. They always get more views on TikTok. They always get more likes and engagement when there are words on the screen. I feel like it just captures people's attention right away instead of just like scrolling away immediately, which is really important with TikTok. You've got to get people's attention within the first 1 to 3 seconds so that they know what your video is going to be about and they stick around with it, or they want to see like the end result of the video, right? Or what you're going to say in the video. So if you're like doing a talking video, I would put at the very beginning of the video with words on the screen, kind of just a little blurb about what you're going to talk about. It doesn't have to stay on the screen for the entire video, but say, like, I don't know, just an easy example. If I'm making a TikTok and I'm giving TikTok tips for lash artists, we'll just use the same topic we're talking about right now, then that I'm gonna write that on the video for like the first at least like, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds or so. It's not necessarily a set thing, long enough that they can read it. If you have a bigger paragraph or more words, make sure the length of the video is long enough for them to have time to read it, so it's not like they have to like pause or rewatch, because a lot of people won't do that. But put what you're gonna talk about. So I would put something like, TikTok tips for lash artists, so that they know what the video is gonna be about, and even if I'm not getting to the point right away, they stick around to watch it if they're interested in that topic. And you could also do this in the form of like a hook at the very beginning of your video. Now, you don't have to do this on all of them, but if you can immediately, the first thing out of your mouth when you're doing talking videos or a voiceover, get to the point of what you're gonna talk about and then kind of like go back. So I'll give you an example of this. We'll just stick with the same example of like TikTok tips for lash artists, right? So I might say something like, I'm trying to think of a good example of like a good hook for this. I might say something like, here's why TikTok isn't working for you as a lash artist. That immediately speaks to the problem, speaks to what they're struggling with, and like gets their attention, and is something that if they're struggling with TikTok, they're going to watch the rest of the video, or at least probably most of it, because they're going to be interested in that topic. So you could also do like, for like lash clients, here's 3 reasons why your lashes aren't lasting. And then you can kind of go back and like, okay, here's why TikTok isn't working for you as a lash artist. And, then I could say something like, here are like the 3 main reasons why you're really struggling to get clients booking off of TikTok. And then I sometimes have gone back and said like, okay, here, hi, my name's Erica. I've been a lash artist for 10 years. I'm a beauty business coach. I have a lash podcast, whatever. Like, kind of introduce yourself, say what your expertise is, and then kind of get into the point and like, okay, here's the first reason why Instagram or TikTok's not working for you. Here's the second reason. Here's the third, so you can kind of like speak to the problem, introduce who you are, what your expertise is, and then answer the question. Those videos have done really well for me. You don't have to do every single video in that format. It's just an idea of something that works. But the point is that you're immediately grabbing their attention instead of starting with something boring that they're gonna scroll away from, right? So you're putting that hook at the beginning, giving them a reason to watch to the end. And with like before and after videos, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to talk on it or do a voiceover on it or speak to a problem they're having, which you could. But that could be like if you're doing like photos of different services or something that you've done, you could be like, "Oh my gosh, the last one is my favorite." And then that encourages kind of people to scroll to the end, right? And like look at the last one. Or if you're like that after though, or the kind of speaking to what the end result is going to be at the end of the video, that kind of piques their interest and gets them interested. Or, like, here's how we gave her this kind of lash look, or we went from blonde to like fiery red with her hair. I don't know, whatever. It piques their interest from the start of the video. That's the point I'm trying to get at. So you're kind of speaking to what they're going to see by the end, or putting something on there in the caption on screen with your words that you're speaking that's going to get them to continue to watch and get that watch time up. The next thing that I find works really well on TikTok, especially if you are a lash artist, hairstylist, esthetician, or even like a beauty brand with a product line, is like lifestyle and storytelling type of content. Even if you're promoting a service or a class, or you're wanting to increase your sales or something, storytelling lifestyle content is really great on TikTok. It performs really well and people are more interested and it creates more of a connection. So it just performs better. It gets more views, it gets more likes, it gets more comments, and just more visibility in general. So I'll give you an easy example of this. We have one of our clients who does hair extension classes, and their videos for their classes do pretty well across the board. But I've noticed that the ones where we talk about their classes with just like a sound and like a caption or words on the screen do okay, like they do well. But the ones where like they're doing a voiceover or I do a voiceover for them, we're telling a story, we're telling how this impacted a client or a student, or like sharing like, oh my gosh, we got this DM today from this client who was so in love with their hair and they fell in love with themselves again, or whatever. Like those ones where we're telling a story and kind of showing a little more of that connection behind it have always done a lot better. They perform better, the engagement is better, the views are better, everything across the board. And like the lifestyle content, again, like it's the same thing. Their videos do pretty well across the board, but the ones where it's like a day in the life, or let's come along with me and like let's install these hair extensions or whatever it is, it's a little bit more personal, has that connection behind it, it's a little more lifestyle. Those ones always perform better as well. So it's not like you have to go pour out all your deep dark secrets on the internet. You don't have to tell your whole life story unless you want to. You don't have to put everything about your life, every little detail about your life out there, but pick a few things about yourself that you feel comfortable sharing about. There are things that make you you, and talk about that. So like on my TikTok page, my caption says something like "Mom Life, Lashes, and T Swift" because those are the things that I talk about on there, and those are things that I like. Those are things that I love. Those are things about me that make me me. So you don't have to like get super personal, but you can share things that you love on TikTok, and that lifestyle type of thing kind of does really well with creating those connections and just getting better engagement and visibility and views. So even if you're like telling a story of like, okay, this, you can do a voiceover and like this client came in wanting this set. Here's what we did in our consultation. Here's what we talked about. We realized we weren't going to be able to do it this way, so we decided to do it this way instead. Here's you know during the service, here's what happened, here's the end result, she was so happy with it. Or I got this DM from this client who was super happy, and this is how these lashes made such a difference for her. Like, kind of just telling the story behind it. If your client, I mean, make sure your clients are comfortable with you sharing that. Don't give away like private identifying information or details, but storytelling lifestyle content does really well. And like documenting your journey, like, I'm restarting my clientele from zero in this new state that I moved to, and I'm going to document my journey, like follow along with me, and creating like content for your local area of like, here's where my business is located and things like that, like documenting your journey of that. So like right now, in a little more of a TikTok era for myself. it's kind of just been a fun way to kind of enjoy creating content again. We just create so much content that it just gets monotonous sometimes and a little boring for me. But I feel like it's kind of a fun creative outlet. I've been really enjoying content creation across the board again, just from kind of documenting our journey, like day to day, just like fun things on TikTok. But anyway, right now, the journey I'm documenting is the journey that we're on in my family right now with my husband quitting his full time job to go full time with his business instead. And we've been making videos about that and talking about that, and it's been really fun, and we're just kind of, like, documenting what we're already doing day to day. So I don't necessarily have to, like, I do this sometimes where I get ready for the day and, like, make a talking video or make a tip video or whatever, purposely record content, but for the most part, I'm just kind of documenting our day to day of, like, what's happening, not, like, every single detail. I don't even, like, put my kids online very much anymore, and especially not on TikTok. But what I'm saying is I'm documenting things I'm already doing each day, and or like, doing a talking video while I'm getting ready or something like that. Like, I'm not having to, like, really go out of my way to create that content necessarily. It's just, what am I already doing? What goal am I working towards? And I'm documenting the progress of that goal on TikTok. That does really well. And so that's an option for you as well, especially if you're like, hey, I'm really working on growing my lash business right now. Like, follow me as I grow my lash business today. I did 5 clients today. I did 3 clients today. I had a hard day today, whatever. Here's this funny client story I had happen. I feel like it's a little more lax. And what I've noticed too on TikTok is service videos don't perform as well engagement wise with likes, views, comments, things like that. That doesn't mean they don't do well with conversions or getting local people to want to book with you or things like that. So I do think those are still good to mix in. I just don't think they perform as well engagement wise, which is honestly the same across the board with like Instagram and stuff. But that's just something to know. It's not going to do as well as the ones where you're like on the screen talking or doing a voiceover, things like that. So the last thing that I've noticed, unfortunately, does really well on TikTok is like controversial content. And it doesn't even have to be purposely controversial. Sometimes people just take things in their own way and are so freaking annoying. I only say that because, okay, literally, I posted a Costco haul on TikTok this past weekend. It went, like, semi-viral. I wouldn't say, like, super viral because it's not like it got, like, as many, millions of views or whatever, but right now, at the time of recording, it's sitting at, like, 70 something thousand views, and people were mad about it, and, like, I was like, "Man, who knew a Costco haul could be so controversial?" But people didn't agree with what we bought, and they said it was junk, or why would my husband quit his job, and that wasn't smart of us. We should have done X, Y, and Z or whatever else. And it's just funny because it's like the things that people don't agree with in your videos are the things that are going to like get you a lot of engagement and views and like push your video out further. And I feel like the reason that video did so well, and especially because I normally don't get that many views on TikTok regularly or consistently, but I feel like it did really well because people didn't agree with some of the things in it. And so, not that you have to go out there and be purposely controversial or rage bait, which some people do on purpose, but it can be content that does well. Like, give your controversial opinion, your unpopular opinion, your hot take on things. Like, if you've seen Kayla from KK Artistry or Educated Artistry podcast, but she doesn't do her podcast anymore, but it's still out there. You've probably heard it before if you listen to podcasts. But Educated Artistry podcast, so she's really active on TikTok. She did a TikTok about, what would she outlaw in the lash industry if she had to choose? And she said decurl lashes. That shit got like 2 million views and a ton of engagement, and it got people all kinds of upset or agreeing with her. So it was just wasn't necessarily purposely like rage baiting or controversial necessarily, but it people had an opinion on it and it really pushed the video out there far. So just something I've noticed. I also have a friend who has a cake page on TikTok, and her videos do really well. She's in the creator fund, all of that. And her videos that perform the best to get the most visibility, likes, comments, engagement. I should say the videos of hers that perform the best with like engagement, likes, views, things like that. Not necessarily like perform the best with booking clients or conversions or things like that, but the ones that perform the best engagement wise and views wise are the ones that people don't agree with how she's doing things. Like there was one where she had like frosted the cake and it wasn't completely straight and the layers were kind of wonky. It turned out fine in the end. I thought it looked great, but like people did not agree with that and they thought she did it wrong or whatever else. There was a lot of like not so kind comments on that. Like people can be kind of mean, honestly, especially if you go viral outside of your normal scope of audience. But like it pushed her video way far out there. And I mean, I don't know how much money she made off of that one, but I know she made probably a few $100s or more from it getting millions of views because people didn't agree with how she put the cake together. So it's interesting that, I mean, it unfortunately makes sense that controversial content kind of, or like ones where people have an opinion one way or another, they either really agree with you or they really disagree with you, that it does well. But that can be something to kind of mix in to your content, like really put your opinions. If you have a stance that you really believe in or a take that you really believe in with your services or whatever, that could be, something to take into consideration as well. So those are just a few things that I've seen have been working really well on TikTok recently, that have worked really well for my own pages, for our clients' pages, for my friends who are on TikTok doing well with the Creator Fund. There's so many opportunities to make money online. It's literally insane how much money you can make from social media, specifically like TikTok and YouTube. They have really good monetization programs. Facebook, not a great monetization program. I literally make like 50 cents a month or something like that, like some ridiculously low thing. It's not even really worth doing. I don't know about Instagram because I've never been in the monetization program over there, but like TikTok, I'm not quite in the creator fund yet, but you can make money from the creator fund, especially if you're getting a lot of views. But you can also make money with TikTok affiliates and like posting, TikTok shop affiliate links. You can also do your Amazon affiliate links. You can add your like to know it on there. What else? Brand collaborations. Like there's so many different ways to make money as a content creator on TikTok. And you don't even necessarily have to like want to be a full-on content creator, but if you're just documenting your journey of growing your lash business on TikTok while you do things, like girl, you can get so many followers and like a community supporting you. You can get your local people finding you on there. You could maybe even make some money out of the creator fund or from TikTok affiliates or Amazon affiliates or getting brand collaborations. Like there's so many opportunities. Like I think it's just cool to have TikTok have all the opportunities that it has and to see the way that it's changed a lot of people's lives. I really love the platform and I think it's such a great place to be as a business owner. And especially if you do have products too, because it's a great way to reach new people. You can get on TikTok shop. There's a lot that can go into it, but there's my TikTok tips for the day, some different insights into what I feel like is working for beauty businesses right now. I've seen people, big names in our industry, who've been like, you shouldn't be on TikTok trying to get local clients because you're not going to reach the right people, whatever. That like drives me nuts because people who say that are like they've never even built their own clientele before. So they don't know what it's like, in my opinion. But don't listen to all of the outside noise and negativity. Like you focus on the positives and the opportunities that you have and the goals that you have and what platforms can help you reach those goals and get there, whether that's building your clientele or maybe becoming a content creator, getting into the creator fund, whatever. Figure it out for you. What's going to work best for you, and like tune out all of that outside noise. Okay. It drives me nuts when I see people putting others down for like being on a platform that they don't agree with or doing things a way that they don't agree with, or you shouldn't call your I'm getting on a whole tangent. I shouldn't go into this because I respect these people in the industry, but I just don't always agree with what they have to say. And I just want you to stay in your lane, hone in on your zone, and do what you need to do to grow your business and show up how you want to show up and with who you want to be and create that for yourself, because that's what's going to build your business, make you money, move the needle in your business, and help you reach your goals outside of all of the noise that can come with being online too. So, anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you again next week.